Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. DevRelCon, it's back in March, and in this series of video, we interview with speakers at this conference. Today, I will be talking with Jaime, one of the speakers at DevRelCon Yokohama, this conference. So I'm welcoming him to put here. So, right. Hi, Jaime.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It is, uh, because of the magic of time zones, it is just after work here in the Seattle,
Mm,
USA.
yeah. We are, we just start our, new day. That's Wednesday. Yeah. So thanks for your time today, and thanks for joining me. Yeah. It's nice to, see you again, because we already met the Brocon Tokyo 2019, which was 4 years ago. So it's been a while to catch up with,
Yeah.
most of the Bro folks in person. So yeah, we are very excited to have you in this Brocon.
I'm very excited to speak at DevRelCon Yokohama. I had a really great in-person experience at DevRelCon
Mm,
Tokyo in 2019, and have done some of the virtual editions since then. And just really excited to be able to present to folks and to meet a whole bunch of folks.
mm,
For me, really briefly, when I went to DevRelCon Tokyo 2019, I was not in DevRel. I was doing something different. I was a software engineer, and I had such a great time there and learned so much from all the wonderful speakers and attendees that here I am now. I've done developer relations for several years now, and manage a team of developer relations folks at Jack Henry, which does financial technology or fintech technology in the USA.
Oh, it's good to hear that you have your career transition after you joined the Rock One, and then you're now purely fully the role expert in the industry for several years. That's good to know that.
Yeah, it's been great.
Great. So can you tell us briefly about yourself? What you do at the company, and just if you want to do something, uh like your hobby, like something you like outside of your work.
Sure. So for me, as I mentioned at the beginning, I live in the Seattle area. I've been here for quite a while now, and it's really great because it's an area that has a lot of technology. So I've had software engineering roles for
Mm,
several different companies in the area. And one of the things that's really nice here is that it's pretty easy to get out and go enjoy the outdoors. So I have a little dog, a little Chihuahua. We go
mm,
on hikes or just go to the park and whatever. And there's so much greenery, such a wide variety. That's sort of part of my hobby. And the other hobby for me is actually a reason why I ended up speaking at DevRelCon Tokyo 2019. I have I co-host a technical podcast called More Than Just Code. I've been doing that for
mm.
years, and that was actually one of the topics that I presented. Apparently 4 years now, which is still kind of surprising to hear when I say it.
So technology, nature, and double podcast sounds great.
Yeah, just a lot of stuff, to
Mm,
help developers, which was the topic of my prior session of like helping
mm,
developers through the medium of podcasting. And
mm,
now that was my hobby, and now my day
mm.
job is to do DevRel and do that as the normal sort of working day stuff. So it's really great.
Right.
It's still all about helping developers just now I can dedicate more time to it instead of having to be that side thing.
And such an amazing, your iconic hairstyle.
Yeah. So it's all, like a lot of things we talk about in DevRel, it's all about the brand. And
Mm-hmm.
this works out quite well. So I'm on, various social media or on GitHub as Dev with the hair. So it's pretty easy to find me. The
Yeah,
little
find you,
avatar
yeah,
logo.
in the conference, yeah.
I stand out in the crowd. So
Mm,
if folks are, watch this interview and end up going to
mm,
DevRelCon Yokohama, you'll have no trouble finding me in the crowd. I guarantee.
mm. Yeah, so we saw you at the VOCON Tokyo 2019, and you've been engaging with some of the digital, the World Conference, like in the past, the World Asia and the VOCON Tokyo, last year. And how are you excited about this, in-person conference? Because the conference has been, you know, running online the last 4 years, last 2 years, the last 2 years. And yeah, how do you feel?
I feel really excited because I do think that virtual conferences are great. They have a lot of accessibility and they democratize access to, people who wouldn't normally get to, you know, see
Mm,
that content. Maybe they have home responsibilities with family members,
mm,
or maybe they can't afford. So I've always liked the idea of having the virtual conferences as an
mm,
additional thing. The hard thing over the past several years with the pandemic was having it be the only thing. So now being able to go and in person, it just has a little bit of a different flavor. I think a lot
mm,
of the content ends up being, pretty equivalent. But I know that I personally and several other speakers really love seeing the faces out in the crowd and just sort of feeding off that energy, and then
mm,
taking that energy into lunchtime discussions, or
mm,
maybe after hours discussions, or even
mm.
just I was getting a bottle of water and bumped into somebody who had a new connection with somebody that I wouldn't have normally seen. So that's one of the
Yeah.
exciting things about being in
Mm,
person, is just being able to have that human connection again.
mm. Yeah, because like digital conference is more transparent, and as you mentioned, having more accessibility. However, there's less, like connection between like attendees and speakers. Yeah, but
Right.
at this time, yeah, the in-person conference is back, so yeah, we have more, you know, the real communication,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, with people from you know from all over the world, uh, sharing their experience, knowledge, and they all have different background and cultures, so that will be very amazing.
Yeah, and I fully expect that to happen again at DevRelCon Yokohama, because DevRelCon Tokyo was very international. Ran into
Mm,
folks from, of course, the United States, folks
mm,
from various parts of Europe, like Spain and the United Kingdom, and
mm,
folks from Asia, various parts. So it's just one of those things that it brings a lot of folks together, which is, you
mm,
know, excellent way to learn more about different cultures, different peoples, but also just, that exchange of ideas of, this is
mm,
what we're doing in our industry, or this is what we're doing in our country, or for our company. And it's really
mm,
great. It spurs new thoughts and new ideas for how we can take some of those lessons and apply it to our
mm.
own work.
Right, right. Have you joined any in-person conference after like in post-COVID?
I've done one, but it was
Mm.
for a customer conference that we have, very large
Right.
customer conference that we have for my
Mm.
employer. So that was
In
bringing
Seattle?
Not in Seattle, but if folks know anything at all about the United States, just down the
Mm,
coast, the Pacific coast, the West Coast in San
mm.
Diego. So
San Diego.
the
Mm.
yeah, last
Gặp
summer
gà
we
mà
did.
về, gặp gà.
Yeah. So it was good. It was fun to see see
Mm,
people in person. It was fun to
mm,
enjoy meals with folks and be able to talk through things at lunchtime. A fair
mm,
amount of folks were still doing mask protocols and social
mm,
distancing, etc. But at least it was nice to have be able to see face to face people
mm,
and talk about things. So that
mm.
was really good.
So most of the people are back to in-person conference, like in-person like events conference in the US.
It is something I've had a hard time putting my finger on.
Mm,
There's definitely a lot of conferences that have returned to be in person. There's even some
mm,
that are newer that's starting in person. It doesn't feel like there's quite as many conferences. Now, that could be that maybe it's the kind of conferences that I look at that
mm,
maybe an entirely different industry is doing something more. But it does feel like we're slowly waking up and
mm,
getting out of the hibernation, and events are getting back into the swing of things.
mm. Okay, so yeah, I saw some of the feedback, and I heard some of the feedback that like in post COVID, most of the people are just out from the Bay Area, and like usual, like general, like attendee rate is not really good for the event. So yeah, I just wonder how like other events look like.
It is interesting because I think it's doing an event is a huge
Mm,
expense. And so I think that there has been a little bit of hesitancy for folks to host the events, and then for attendees deciding, do they feel personally comfortable? Are they in a good economic situation where they themselves can afford to pay for it, or their company can afford to pay for it? And it also kind of feels like a lot of the conferences that came out almost kind of overlapped where they wouldn't have before,
mm,
right? Where I think there might have been some really difficult choices for people to say, well, do I
mm.
go to this conference or do I go to that conference?
Yeah,
And it ends up
very. Yeah,
pretty,
the events are very getting competitive.
yeah. Yeah, everybody chooses the same week for some reason. And there's
Yeah,
some
or
weeks
same
where
day. Yeah,
there's
or
nothing
same
going on.
day. Like yeah, they are trying to or like they're trying to avoid like Monday and Friday, and they the only options will be Tuesday or like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's gonna be very competitive, and yeah, the
Right.
venues are quite limited. So yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
interesting. So can I ask you a bit more about your industry? So you've been working in fintech, and recently, we saw some of the trends in Web3, crypto, like NFT, blockchain stuff. So uh, how do you see you know, the transition of the industry, and how the development works in fintech, which might be something new for the industry.
Well, one of the really sort of positive things
Mm,
is that the pandemic sort of proved out a lot of things that I think people sort of knew to be true but weren't sure. So DevRel is definitely here to stay. I know that there's definitely some bad economic situations where some people were impacted by layoffs, but as a whole, we didn't see the entire category of jobs go away. It's still there. People still see the value, and when everybody was stuck at home and quarantined, it meant for our industry that digital online access was very important, and reasonably so. That if you can't go to your bank, physically get some money, you still need access to money somehow to pay for groceries and everything else. So that was really helpful. It really proved out a lot for the traditional finance, which is sort of our company's main thing that we deal with. Alongside, when folks said, well, if we can go digital only, maybe things like blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, NFTs, digital assets, all of these things that started online and have only ever been online, it was really good timing for them. And as things were built in new Web3 sort of technologies, we saw a lot of DevRel professionals just really get hired out there. So a lot of folks that I hadn't seen before, or some folks who had started in traditional finance or Web2 technologies moved over. So it's sort of growing the pie of people who are in fintech, which is pretty interesting to me to see that continue to get more and more attention.
Sounds very interesting to apply something new in the new industry, from your experience and some of the traditional like basic debit validations or success, like applying to different industry.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to send you a picture of my dog or a funny cat video, it would be super easy. But if I wanted to send you, a single Japanese yen, or if you want to send me a single US dollar, we would struggle with that. But things like, cryptocurrency and digital money can, hopefully one day enable it to be just as seamless as sending a link, or just as seamless as sending a video. So, there's going to be a bit of growing pains, and society probably needs to figure out how to deal with that. But the good thing is that for DevRel professionals, we can do a lot towards helping enabling developers to build those really cool, innovative, and useful features.
Just fingers crossed to see the cross border with the with any currencies.
That one's interesting. So that ends up getting called remittance, and that is a huge, huge topic. Going in person to DevRelCon in Tokyo, a few years ago, it was a learning experience to me. Where here in the U.S., I'm used to using credit cards or using my Apple Watch or my iPhone to pay for things. And it was not as easy coming, from the USA to Japan and realizing, oh, a lot of things are very heavily cash based at the time in Japan, and in Tokyo in particular, like Suica and Pasmo were like the lifeline. So I figured out a way to get that connected to my phone, so it would be just as convenient to go on the subway trains, or to pay for food, or to get something for the vending machines. But it really spurred me to think about, like, what is it like to have finances in other places, and what is it like to try to get cross-border, cross-country payments. It's all a huge challenge, at least for traditional finance. It ends up involving companies, sometimes in governments. And I think that's why we see a lot of interest in things like decentralized finance and blockchain and other technologies. Like, what if we didn't even have to deal with that? What if we just had the power of the internet to exchange value?
I think recently the technology has been changing, so you will have like different new experience here in Japan. It's like recently payment apps has been rising. So and the small shop, they still accept only cash, but most of the stores or like shops, they accept multiple payments. So one of the major thing is payment apps, like with QR code, like WeChat.
Yeah, yeah. The thing I did see over there that was kind
Mm,
of in the more touristy areas was,
yeah,
you know, shops would say we accept Alipay, we accept
yeah,
WePay, which said, oh, clearly they've got tourists coming in, they're expecting to use that. And a
yeah,
friend of mine mentioned that I think there's something called PayPay over there that's pretty
yeah.
popular.
PayPay, yeah, yeah. PayPay
Yeah.
is the biggest, yeah.
Yeah, so I might have to see if I'm able to participate in that because QR code based payments are becoming increasingly popular here in the
Mm,
United States as well. So
mm,
we in the US we sort of missed the initial wave of QR
mm,
codes that got really hot over in you know in Asia. And then now we're
mm,
sort of slowly waking up and you see
mm,
advertisements and commercials and people
yeah,
taking payments. Scan a QR code or get a payment with a QR code scan. So
mm,
it's kind of great to see people starting to take advantage of those sorts of
mm.
things.
Interesting. Okay, so finally, can you say like a bit of comment or a bit like a quick like summary what you're going to talk about
Sure.
in the
So the
conference? Yeah.
title, yeah, the title of my talk is Explain the Value of DevRel by Writing Narratives.
Mm,
And what it's sort of really fundamentally about is I have constantly seen folks in DevRel just sharing stories about I'm struggling. Maybe my company is not sure around budgets or around number of employees, headcount. There's always kind of this feeling in the back of people's minds that maybe DevRel isn't being fully valued. How can I explain the value? If I've got these key performance indicators, these KPIs, I've got these objectives and key results, these OKRs, we've got all these charts and graphs. And the approach that I've taken is to write little stories. Now, it's not like Harry Potter or Star Wars, not that kind of story, but just writing summaries of this is why this value
mm,
matters. You know, you can say, wow, we had a blog post that had 30,000 viewers. Maybe the marketing team might see the value
mm,
in that. The product team and engineering team, that might just go over the head of like, is 30,000 good? Is 30,000 bad? Is it going up? Is it going down? So the approach I want to help folks with is how you can explain things in a way that
mm,
will be meaningful to other folks who aren't necessarily DevRel
mm,
professionals. So talking about things in terms that they will understand.
mm. Sounds great. So for just for your information attendees, you will get tons of tips from his talk to be more strategic and to make your DevRel in activities successful. We are looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, Jaime, again, for joining me today, and we are very looking forward to having you in the conference, and yeah, looking forward to seeing you again there.
Thank you. Good seeing you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and all the other folks at the conference.
Yeah, thank you so much.